Today we're celebrating a piece of television history. It's been 25 years since Resurrection Blvd first hit the airwaves. A groundbreaking series that redefined Latino representation in Hollywood. And now that legacy is being honored in a big way. On October 19th, the Fox Theatre, the crown jewel of downtown Tucson, will host a Day with Resurrection Blvd, the 25th anniversary celebration. Presented by Elephant Scout Films, this one-of-a-kind event brings together cast, crew, and fans for an unforgettable reunion. There'll be a special screening of the pilot, behind-the-scenes insights, and a live panel. Today's guests were involved both in front of and behind the camera on Resurrection Blvd. First up, actor-director Lou Diamond Phillips, then show creator Dennis Leoni. They both joined me to talk about their time on Resurrection Blvd, its cultural impact, and what this reunion means to both of them. We also chat about storytelling, legacy, and the power of authentic representation on screen. Whether you grew up with the Santiago family or you're just discovering the series for the first time, this episode is a celebration of community, creativity, and resilience. Today's episode of the Following Films podcast is brought to you by Google Workspace. We keep things running smoothly and efficiently at Following Films, with the convenience of cloud-based Google Workspace programs. You should try it and see how it can benefit your business as well. If you sign up using my link, I can give you a discount, and it helps to support the show. Check the show notes for a direct link. Tickets for a Day with Resurrection Blvd, the 25th anniversary celebration, are available at foxtucson.com/resurrection. Again, you can check the show notes for a direct link. Hope to see you there this Sunday. Enjoy the show. Hey, Lou, how are you?
I'm good, Christopher. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much for taking time out of your afternoon to do this. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. I'm very sorry that I can't actually make the reunion. That would have been a blast, but I mean, fortunately and unfortunately, I'm working a lot this fall. So yeah, got to go feed the bulldog.
Well, that's been a consistent throughout your career. One thing I was looking kind of when I'm interviewing someone like yourself, I will go back and kind of try to refamiliarize myself with some of the early work, some of the stuff in the middle, and what you've been up to recently. And the one consistent that I can find really more than anything is that you've just consistently worked and redefined yourself multiple times throughout your career. You kind of seem to have these inflection points where you find either different things in yourself, or as an audience member, we find different things in you that we didn't know you could do before. So
I love put it that way. I personally, I can't look at my own IMDb page. It puts me to sleep. It's a lot of work, man. But it's interesting because that comes up, on occasion where somebody says, "Oh, hey, I didn't know you were funny," or "I didn't know you could be as intense," or whatever. And it's I think it's a surprise to some people because they associate me with certain roles. I mean, Richie is forever going to be sweet and full of heart and soul and whatnot.
Of course,
the Young Guns films and all of that, and then all of a sudden I come along with something like The Night Stalker or the big hit, and it kind of turns those things on its head. And as I said, it's a surprise to people, but it's not a surprise to me. Because I trained in the theater, and,
sure.
and I go back to my theater roots, where I was doing the classics. I could do Shakespeare, but then I'd be doing Mamet or some other contemporary drama or a comedy, and being the lead in one and supporting in another, and running the lights for a third. So it's always been a journeyman's path for me, I mean the one thing that it is ensured, thank goodness, is that I've remained employed, and now, which is wonderful. There aren't the lines that we had back when I started. Back then, you didn't, if you were a movie actor, you didn't do television, and God forbid you do commercials, and now we're doing it all. I'm getting to direct, a lot more. My writing, is coming a little bit more, front and center. I mean, even some great, voiceover stuff that, is just expanding, the playground for me. So, I've been fortunate. Thank you.
Well, I think that the thing that happens is you play intensity in different ways. There was the first couple films, there was this raw sort of intensity that you had that felt like they just picked a guy up off the street and he's just channeling this raw intensity. And it wasn't true because you were obviously a trained actor. But then you see something like Courage Under Fire and you realize, oh, there's much more restraint. There's intensity, the same intensity, but
Yeah.
there's a much more measured performance here. So it was just changing that dial. And then all the way to The Chair Company.
Yeah.
And so there's like that Venn diagram is pretty unique to you to see that. Even as those walls have broken down for actors, I think those two extremes are not common for an actor to be able to kind of work within all those frames.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. And I'm always thrilled when, somebody like, Tim Robinson and Zach Kanan take a shot on me, because you don't read that script and go, oh, hey, that's a Lou Diamond Phillips role. It's just so interesting. There were a few times literally when I asked those guys, I said, why am I here? But once again, I'm at this point in my career where I'm so grateful that I'm getting jobs that challenge me, that allow me to do something new, that, put a twist on something that I've done before. Jeff Levjman certainly is that. First of all, putting me in a suit and, letting me be the boss. That's a big deal, and my last name is Levjman, So I just by virtue of being there, there's a great amount of representation, and so when somebody thinks of me like that, I know that I'm dealing with somebody who's thinking outside the box. And then another thing that I have, that hopefully will be, premiering stateside sometime soon is a really wonderful independent film I did called Keep Quiet.
What's that? I'm not familiar with this one.
Yeah. And we had stellar reviews from Locarno Film Festival and the Oldenburg Film Festival, and we won Best Audience Film at Oldenburg. And it's a hard hitting, really. It's basically Training Day on the res.
Wow!
And that one, speaking of restrained performances, it's something that like Tommy Lee Jones in No Country for Old Men, or Duvall. Those were my touchstones for that. But getting back to Resurrection Boulevard, I in the 90s, what I was, and I'm once again so grateful to Dennis Leoni, because he came at me with, hey man, and this is just when things are starting to bend, a little bit. First of all, Resurrection Boulevard is a flagship. It is a groundbreaking show, a Latino themed, Showtime did it. So, they were out there on the edge of things. But Dennis came to me with, hey man, act in one for me and I'll let you direct one, and that was part and parcel of, starting the journey that I'm on now. And I've directed, more than a dozen of, episodic television lately, everything from, The Cleaning Lady to Fear the Walking Dead or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Kung Fu. Just really, a variety of riches there, which again, I'm grateful for. But, the first steps on that path were, doing it for Dennis and doing it on Resurrection Boulevard and getting great response from it. The acting, yes, it was a lovely role, a very interesting role. At the time, I was also, working with Dr. Doreen Graham-Pichet and Autism Care and Treatment Today. And so, I infused that character with a little bit of the spectrum, which I thought was very interesting. But the direction, one of my proudest two of my proudest moments about that particular gig was Elizabeth, my dear friend Elizabeth Pena. She was brilliant in my episode. She won an award for it and claimed that the one I directed was one of her favorites. So that meant a lot to me. And then Ruben Blades, who is another friend. We had done Disorganized Crime together. And when that role came up, I said, bro, called him personally. And I talked him into singing, on a television show for the first time. So, we did some fun stuff, on that show. And Dennis was there, as a godfather, basically, just really having my back through it all.
Well, the show, in many ways, what you were just talking about, and Showtime in general, it's when you look back at it, how they were pushing the boundaries of things more than more than any other network. It doesn't even compare when you're talking about representation with sexuality, with race, they were really, really, cutting the edge there. But
Yeah.
the thing that's interesting about it is that these are still things like Resurrection is something that's worth revisiting.
Yeah.
And not a lot of shows that are 25 years old could you imagine seeing in a theater and, going back to that pilot and wanting to rewatch it. There's, I don't know, maybe a couple dozen out of all the shows that have been made in the last, 50, 60 years that you would think about doing that. And that's in that rare sort of camp. What do you think makes it worth revisiting for people?
I mean, first of all, I mean, it wasn't trendy. Some shows are very trendy and they're
Sure.
of a moment. Resurrection, I think, aspired to a greater classicism in that respect. It was telling, the story of a family that could be happening today just as easily as it happened in the 90s, and a contemporary Latino family.
Yeah.
That their wants, their desires, their the dynamic, is incredibly relatable across racial lines. And at the time there wasn't a whole lot of what made it intriguing. I think there wasn't a whole lot of representation of that community, that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Quite you got that the whole East LA vibe to it, and you know. But the boxing aspect of it, and I mean Glenn Turman was just fantastic, and Tony Plana was a dear friend, by the way, still is. Nick Gonzalez and I are still in contact quite a lot.
Wow.
Uh, Tony Plana showed up at the studio the day I was doing my screen test for La Bamba.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah. Oh, he and Taylor were good friends, from An Officer and a Gentleman. And, obviously he knew Luis, and I think he had done some Teatro Campesino stuff. So he was just coming to check out what they were up to. And, I mean, I met Tony that day and we fast friends, So I think the fact that those stories, hold up. I mean, La Bama's holds up. Stand and Deliver holds up.
Yeah.
If you're trying to tell a story that, that is not taking advantage of the current flavor, then you're doing something that can be revisited and reexamined years later. What's interesting, in this day and age, man, I mean the racial overtones, the farm workers, all of that. Mamba is more relevant than ever. A Latino family, looking for their place in the world and desiring to take their seat at the table, one that they've deserved, one that they've earned.
Yeah.
That's relevant as ever.
Well, that was it was almost using Richie's story to tell this other story, which was a much greater truth that I think goes beyond racial lines, where it's hyper specific to this community and to this family. But when you do that, I think when you tell very specific and authentic stories, you end up uncovering universal truths. And I think that you really are dealing with something. And that's the one through line that I can see in a lot of the things, because you have a lot of sticky work. You have a lot of things that it really just gets reevaluated. And I really think that that's the key there, is that it's very, very specific, a lot of these ones that have endured.
Thank you. And it's interesting too, because as I said, I'm continuing to get, but I mean, every job I look at, I mean, one of the criteria is, have I done this before? Is there something you need to do, and I love it because a lot of the characters that I've played, they're aspirational. There's something to be said about them. They speak to, bigger themes. Even the bad guys, even Richard Ramirez. I mean, that's just fascinating about, what that reveals about our culture. Courage Under Fire. I loved that role.
Yeah.
This is a guy who would have been a hero if it were not for a really, really bad mistake.
Yep.
And lived with the guilt of that. He owned that. He punished himself for that. But he had aspirations when he joined the military, and he wanted to be a good soldier and all of that. And it's heartbreaking that, something in his blind spot, would be his undoing. And that's, that's again, when I look at it, when I look at a role, it's like, wow, what am I doing here? What am I, what is my purpose in this? And sometimes it's to lead, and sometimes it's to carry things and to move it forward. And other times it's to contribute to the story. And that's interesting too. I mean, that's the thing that I learned about directing early on. And Ramon Menendez was key to me in this during in giving not only a film, but each scene a point of view. Whose point of view is this? And it changes throughout the show. I mean, a lot of times it's your hero, it's your lead. That's their point of view. But there was a wonderful scene in Stand and Deliver where Andy Garcia is interrogating the students for the first time, but Ramon keeps cutting back to Angel watching it all because he's got the button on the scene.
Yep.
And he's taking it all in. And so at that moment, he's the audience. And so I was able to, to apply a lot of these wonderful lessons learned to directing, Resurrection. And as I said before, when I came in to direct, the show had been running for a while. It was successful. It had its palette. It had its flavor. It's the cast dynamics. You're not going to step in as a new director and change those things. So once again, it's like, I'm here to serve.
Yeah.
Or, as the LAPD is, to protect and to serve. So protecting, your integrity as a performer and making sure you look good, because I would expect the same, but also to serve the story, and to serve the story in episodic TV. It's wonderful because it's like, you're not just telling, a one-off. It has to fit into an overreaching arc that may extend beyond seasons.
Oh yeah.
So you're really, just trying to get from point A to point M,
Well, you can't show up and blow up the look of the show. You can't show up and change the style of it and put your stamp on it. There's certain shows that do lend themselves to that, where they do change episode to episode.
The anthology ones, man, I'd love to do a Black Mirror, because you're making a little mini movie.
Well, you touched in the Twilight Zone world for a very brief moment in your own way. So, I mean, those are, I don't know why the anthology stuff just doesn't seem to land with people, but I'm a sucker for it. I love anthologies.
Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone, we actually talked about me directing one, but then unfortunately but once again, there we go. In that transition from, okay, you're a movie actor, but we want you on TV. I got the same offer from the fantastic producers over at Trilogy of acting in a Twilight Zone and directing one, but also acting in an Outer Limits and directing one. And directing sci-fi is a blast, man.
Yeah.
And it's like directing horror. You know what I mean? Gloves are off. You can do whatever you want. No rules.
Well, I can't help but notice the Metropolis poster behind you.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing about the reason that film is still valid is, it's high sci-fi for sure, but people don't go back to it. There is visual spectacle to it, and there's things that you can see in it, but it's really that story that is as prescient today, and probably more than when it was released. Just the calling the shot from 100 years ago is pretty remarkable.
Well, yeah, no, we're Orwell is, up there right now. So I mean, we're in a place where the forward thinkers, you can go back and read some stuff they wrote, and you went, oh God, what did you have, a crystal ball? I mean, it's a little frightening. But I think it's like Metropolis too, and what I love as well about directing and Resurrection Blvd being part and parcel of that was world building, and being able to do some things. And one of the things, because of it's Latino themes, I was able to apply some magical realism, to the episode I directed. I mean, for instance, where Elizabeth is pulling the rose petals off the dying roses and dropping them, and I follow them, and then we cut to that the roses are dropping in an entirely different location, not explaining why they're there. I mean, they could be there, and then following that up to our introduction of Ruben Blades, and it's like just being able to apply some art and poetry, into what many times on television, network television, more so than the streamers or cable, it can be really boilerplate, really straight ahead. Where TV directors got a bad reputation for just being traffic directors, just master two shot over single, it's nice to change it up.
Well, you find those moments where you can do that, where you're telling something that is emotionally honest. You're telling something that, while it might not make sense in reality, it's emotionally real. So it has that thing that you're connecting that tissue together through a shot like that. And even if somebody doesn't recognize it in the moment, they feel it subconsciously. I thoroughly believe that we do connect with images that we don't fully process, and it just helps us along through that.
Oh, that's wonderful too. I mean, going back to the original filmmakers, man, the juxtaposition of images.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a visual medium. You cut from one thing to another, and as you said, that your mind makes that connection. There is some sort of subliminal message, and a director can hopefully manipulate that image and invoke those emotions in somebody without being too heavy-handed about it.
Well, I could not agree with you more, and I was really excited to talk to you today. I don't get nervous very often anymore. I've been doing this for about 15 years now. It's probably the most nervous I've been in years, and that's because you were always one of my guys growing up, and you're one of those people I've always pulled for. Whatever you're up to, I'm always excited when you show up in something that always, I'm happy to see you continuing to work, because it's fantastic to have grown up with you.
Thank you. And I'm continuing to grow up myself. Man, there's, and what's nice is, there's great stuff in the pipeline. So, Chair Company on HBO, Sundays at 10. The first episode's already, by the way, we were the number one, on in 5 years. So, I mean, that's great. I mean, knock wood, that means we'll get a second season and maybe beyond, who knows? But it's a funny show. It is, for fans of Tim Robinson, it's if
you like his stuff, you're going to be on board. It's
very, very happy. And I think there might be some new, converts as well, because it's his brand. But I mean, you throw in that conspiracy theory, twisted, weird plot, and it just gets fun. And Jeff is a slow burn. You'll enjoy him. He builds.
Super excited to. I kind of wish this interview was set up at the end so that I could really have more. I've only seen what's been out, so I'm excited for it. And anything that he does, I'm on board for as well. I think Friendship is probably one of the most underrated films of the year. Just incredible stuff. So, and to see that and this,
and directed that and directed most of the episodes of the Chair Company.
Jesus Christ,
they've got a really great symbiosis going, those two.
Pretty remarkable stuff. But thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I'm sorry we won't see you in Tucson for Resurrection Blvd, but I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And if anybody that's listening is unfamiliar with the show, do yourself a favor, go to the Fox Theater, check this out. I think you're gonna love it. So there's a lot worse ways to spend a Saturday evening. So I think this is a great show.
People, I think a lot of the cast and a lot of the people involved with the show are gonna show up. And like I said, I mean, back when we used to shoot film, I used to have a saying, celluloid the heart, and that's why that show was so successful. There was a lot of heart, and it's because of the people. I couldn't love them more.
I've said it a million times on this show, but it's something that I always go back to. Is it's indetectable through, you can't pinpoint it, but when something is made with cynicism, you can feel it. And when something is made with heart, you can feel that, and you can forgive 1,000 sins if it's made with heart. And so this was made with so much heart, though. So I think that it's definitely worth revisiting or visiting for the first time if you haven't seen it.
That's excellent. Thank you, Christopher.
Dude, thank you, Lou. I appreciate it, man.
Have a good one.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. So thank you for taking the time to do this today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Well, I was really excited about this event that's upcoming for two reasons. One, I love supporting anything that's going on related to film in Tucson, and this special show that you created that has endured 25 years later, which is pretty rare. So can you just talk a little bit about why you think this show still resonates with people, a quarter of a century later?
Well, I'm hoping it does. The Fox told about 1,100 people. So I don't know who, if we'll even come close to, for a film that's over 25 years old. It's all special to me because, it was a time in my life when I got my first show that I created. And, and then I was able to create an on-screen family. And little did I know I was creating an off-screen family because, with Tony Plana and Nicholas and Marisol and Michael De Lorenzo and all these terrific actors that we have. Rudy Ramos, who actually started his career on High Chaparral. He's coming and it's going to be quite an event, and we're looking forward to it. And I just was happy to bring it to Tucson. It's my hometown. I was born and raised here. I'm a Latino raised here in Tucson, so I wanted to do something for the Latino community here. Not that the show is just for Latinos.
No, not at all.
It's a family show. It's for everyone. And oh boy, get messages. But anyway, I hope that answered your question. I don't know.
It does. It does. I was just wondering, though, how did this get started? Somebody from Tucson, born and bred, to end up with a series on Showtime. How did that happen for you?
Well, I got the bug. I went to work at Old Tucson. I was a stuntman actor in those days. And I moved to Hawaii, and I lived there for 2 years and worked on Hawaii 5-0, and a bunch of other films. Did a lot of commercials. And but I was beginning to realize that I wasn't that great an actor. So I decided to move. They actually moved me behind the camera. And I wanted to write my first script. And the way we really moved forward was when we got to L.A., my wife became the head of drama at ABC. And I had already started working on different series, and I'd written doctors and lawyers and, all kinds of different characters. But I'd never written a Latino character. And Debbie said, write something in your own voice. And so I decided to write a show called La Reforma, which you're too young to remember.
Not that one, no.
Over here on, I think it was 19th and 10th Avenue, they had some government housing, and my grandmother lived there.
Okay.
And so I wrote a piece that's kind of my wonder years growing up in Tucson. And when Jerry Offsay at Showtime said, we want to develop a Latino family drama, I said, hey, we'll read La Reforma. And he read it. He loved the writing. He loved the family. But it was way too soft for Showtime. In those days, Showtime was, it's boxing and half-clothed women. Very true. So he said, you gotta, create some a little more, drama, and also, more at stake for the characters.
Like higher tension stakes, yeah.
Yeah, so I went off and I was watching a show on Showtime, and on came a boxing match, and it was two Latino fighters, and I thought, well, maybe if I marry the family drama with the boxing, we can have a show. And so I wrote a treatment and took it to Jerry and said, hey, we can do the show. And they bought it, and we did a pilot, and they liked the pilot, and we did a series, and we stayed on for 3 years. And so but it was Debbie who pushed me to say, hey, you need to write your own voice. And so finally I wrote some Latino characters, and that's how we got a family drama.
That's so funny. I would never have thought that's how the boxing element ended up in the show, that it was literally, that's one of the two things that Showtime did. It was the kind of like the scandalous late night television, and they had big fights at the time. That was kind of the place you went on cable for it. That's why you had the network. But then
we had Jimmy Lennon, who was their announcer. You remember, he would always go, it's showtime.
Yeah.
You know, and then they start the boxing match. Well, we ended up having him on the show, and he did that for us. So, but I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No. I was just going to say that it was a part of Showtime actually became a network that was really pushing the envelope as far as representation was concerned, and you were just an early part of that.
Right. Well, they did Resurrection Boulevard, and then they also did Soul Food as a series.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that.
And then they did Queer as Folk.
Yep.
So Jerry, was sort of a visionary. Jerry Offsay, the president of the time, and he wanted to do programming that nobody else was doing.
I mean, they had something in the 80s that I'm escaping me the name of it right now, where it was two gay brothers that ran a bar, and I can't remember the name of the show, but there was literally nothing else that was going on like that on TV at the time. And I was young. I was only like 12 years old, I think, at the time. And to see that represented, it was huge. It was, I didn't take it as that. It was presented as just a thing. And so it was just, this is a sitcom like any other sitcom, but it was that. And it was similar with Resurrection Boulevard, where it wasn't presented as anything other than a family drama that happened to be about a Latino family. And that kind of representation was just something that you didn't see at that time on any network.
Right. Yeah, no, it's amazing. And actually he'll be coming to Tucson too.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Jerry and Pancho Mansfield, my executive from Showtime, and there's lots of different people coming. It's going to be great. All the production people, producers, writers, directors. Jesus Trevino, who directed the pilot, will be here tomorrow, I think. So, yeah, we're looking forward to a great event.
And there's also another part of this that I think it's really important that I want to touch on beyond just the celebration of the show is the scholarship, which is something that I'm really excited about to help encourage that next generation of filmmakers. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I Latino representation in Hollywood is a nightmare. Yeah. I mean, we are so underrepresented. It's embarrassing. And when you look at the amount of money that we contribute to the GDP, our buying power is in the, $3 trillion, $5 trillion or something, and every year, and we're less than 1% of the directors, writers. They're more actors, but you don't see. I don't think we'll ever see another Latino drama like Resurrection Blvd. So it's a little disappointing. So this is really Elephant Scouts is taking the lead on this. They're a film company here in Tucson. They wanted to do something to help young filmmakers, and so we've all created this scholarship for a young woman from Sunnyside who won the scholarship, actually, and she'll be at the event. And we're going to present something to her, some money, and she's going to be able to buy a laptop. She comes from not a lot of money, and we hopefully help her get into school. And we're very proud of that, to be able to do something like that. And hopefully in the future we'll be able to continue and get bigger and help even more people.
It's and I hope you're right. I hope that does happen, because I think it's so important to do what we can to support the next generation of creators in any way we can. And with Latino creators specifically, I don't understand why there's not more representation, just from a purely greedy, side, that there's such a large population in this country. Why wouldn't you try to service that market? Why wouldn't you try to create content for that market, with everything being as fragmented as it is now? I've never been able to sort of, square that circle. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Join the club. That's something I've been fighting with Paramount for 25 years to stream us.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
It's like embarrassing. But they give me every excuse they possibly can give me. We have hope for the future. Paramount's changing hands. So we'll see what happens with the new owners. This whole DEI thing is something that really gets my goat. Obviously we got. I don't want to become political, but
you're fine. I mean, at this time, everything is a half step away from being political. How can you not?
And the thing about it is, it's not just marginalizing people; it's demonizing people at this point. All the people on the border, and trying to come across. And when I was a kid, we never had any problems with the people. My family has been in the Gadsden Purchase for hundreds, maybe 1,000 years. Who knows? So for them to try to push people out is, I don't even want to go there because I get so angry. But
we're both Tucsonans, so I think we can both. This is not the problem that I see on television. It's not represented. There's plenty of problems here, but that's not one of them that I see.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous that we have this, and it's getting worse at the moment. But hopefully, the pendulum will swing back, and people will realize that, we're just like everybody else.
Yeah. I could not agree with you more. I think that it's a moment in time that we'll look back at with a question mark. And how did we get there? There's those times that we look back at that just don't make sense, like McCarthyism and these other periods. And the one commonality they have is that otherism, this taking a group of people and, not, like you said, not only marginalizing, but demonizing them. Yeah. And that's how this happens. And people will look back and just wonder how the hell we let it happen, I think.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I look at the old Jim Crow pictures and think, how did that happen?
Now we know.
Who were these people? But, thank God we're hopefully mostly beyond that. But I'm a little older than you, so I can remember those days, So.
Well, it's even stranger for me because it's something that I'm 49. So I learned about Jim Crow.
You're just a kid.
Thank you. I'll take that any day I can. As I look at myself in the Zoom and see more gray than brown in my hair at this point, I'm not sure about being a kid anymore, but I'll take it. I'll absolutely take that. But all these things were such a distant past, and they felt like a different world. I couldn't understand, that my father went to a segregated high school. And so we were never that far removed from it, but it just felt so far away. And now it was closer than I thought. And this sort of the country that we have is a lot more fragile than I think that I thought that it ever was. And it's something we have to fight for. And this is just a reminder of that I believe in the goodness of most people. And we're just, a few people put us in the wrong direction. I think we can course correct, or at least I hope we can.
I think you're right. I hope you're right.
But I want to keep this on a positive note with having rewatched the pilot of Resurrection Blvd, and that this is a show that does hold up really well. That there are things that are of its era, but it's something that absolutely has something to say about the time we live in right now.
Yeah, no, thank you. Obviously, we didn't have any flat screens back then.
Yeah, true.
The pilot is it's still a lot of fun, I think. And Chris Scott from Elephant Scout has put together a sizzle reel of the show of second and third season, and then also they're doing a documentary on my career, and so they put together some clips that are really I'm very proud of. And your Resurrection, should be front and center because it is probably the opus of my career. And although Los Americans did very, very well, I don't know if you know about Los Americans. It was a web series I did with Esai Morales.
He went on to have an okay career. Things
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he's especially hot right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
he was in the new Mission Impossible movie, right?
yes, yes, and actually, I think he's shooting a movie right now down in Nogales.
Oh, he's in Nogales right now shooting?
I
That's
think
amazing.
so because they were shooting in Albuquerque. He's in Nogales now, and hopefully he'll make it up here for the reunion on Sunday.
That's so cool. That's great. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Um, so you're in contact with a lot of these people. That's also something that's highly unusual. Most of the time, productions and shoots shows they come and go. It's summer camp. You go off for a couple months. You meet people and hang out maybe for a couple years even. But then once it's over, it's over. But you've maintained some relationships here.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, I created an on-screen and off-screen family, and I talk to Esai all the time, and I just talked to Tony Plana this morning, and Michael DiLorenzo
Mhm.
and all the people from the show. They just um, I'm just so proud and and honored that these people are my friends, and the fact that they would put themselves out to get to Tucson on their own just to come be with us. And we're not paying for them to put them up or fly them out,
Right.
and they're all coming, and it's pretty amazing.
I think it speaks to not only the quality of the show, the experience that everyone had, but also just to, like you were saying, that family that formed after it, because that's highly unusual. This is not something you see every day. I mean, it's really rare that you'll see a 25th reunion of any show where everybody is really just willing to show up for it because it meant that much to them.
Yeah, no, it is. It makes it even more special for me because it shows me that these people really the show really meant something to people, not just to the audience, but to the people who were in it. They really became a part of this community and of the show, and it's amazing, and it humbles me.
What are you most excited for this weekend?
Well, to see everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, all the writers are coming, and the producers, and the crew. A lot of crew is coming, and of course the actors. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't get to see them all that much. I talk to them a lot, but since I retired, I don't really get out and go and do a lot of the events like I used to. And we'd all see each other at different events, but um, I pulled back so much that I don't get to see them as often. But we still speak quite often, and if I call them, they're right there. They're right there for me.
It's really beautiful. It's really inspirational. It's one of those things that I think that friendship and that sort of family that we choose ourselves beyond
Yeah.
the one that we're given is really, really important to hang on those things, to have those deep roots with people and to not let that go, because it's people that you knew you before you knew anything are important to have in your life.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because when Debbie and I first moved to LA in 1979, we I can't believe all of a sudden I'm so busy. We moved to LA in 1979, and the first play that we saw was Zoot Suit. And
Oh,
in
cool.
Zoot Suit
Yeah.
is Tony and Deanna Ortelli and Bel Hernandez and Kiki Castillo and all these characters that I fell in love with the play. And Debbie and I both. And the funny thing is that years later, I would become friends with Eddie Olmos and Moctezuma Esparza and all the people who produced and wrote and starred in all these movies. And one of the things I'm most proud of is that I love the movie La Bamba.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Esai is in the older brother, but Lou Diamond Phillips is in it, and
Mm-hmm.
also Elizabeth Pena. And I brought them all together again in Resurrection Boulevard. They were all part of the family.
Yeah.
And it was so special to pull them back together and have them, the three of them, act together and be with one another and just. I remember, Tony Plana did the Three Amigos here in Tucson.
Yeah, that's right. He did. Yeah.
They shot here in Tucson, and one of my favorite things to do on the set was to run lines with him from the Three Amigos. He would be Jefe, who he was in the movie.
Yeah.
And I would be El Guapo. And we do the line through it, and I mean, we'd crack the crew up, and in those days I could do a pretty good El Guapo. But it's fun things like that. We're very special, and we got to do those things. And never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that I would be friends with all these people that I just admired from afar, because they were stars.
Yeah.
And but the pilot Cheech Marin is in there. Cheech.
Yes, he is.
And, it's it's pretty funny to see Cheech now and Paul Rodriguez in the pilot, and I think he told me he's coming to Tucson. I don't know if he's going to make it or not, but he said he was going to come. So we'll see.
Did he just perform here not that long ago, or something's coming up? I feel like I've seen his name around town recently for something. I could be wrong on that, but I thought he was doing a live performance somewhere.
Yeah, no, I know that they run the comedy circuit throughout the Southwest, and Tucson, Phoenix, Albuquerque, Santa Fe. Yeah. They're all on the list, and they go round and round. I think he was in Texas not too long ago, but I don't know. I think he's coming. And
regardless, I think that this is a really exciting event, something that I'm really looking forward to. Just to even if it was just watching it on the big screen, to see that in Tucson on the Fox Theater screen, that's got to be something of a little bit of a surreal experience for you. If kind of almost like a victory lap to some degree, where you just get to look back at this thing that you did, and just I'm just wanting to experience that with an audience. I'm really looking forward to it, man.
Oh, great! I'm glad. I'll be happy to see you there. The Fox is very special to me. I saw my first feature film there.
Oh, what did you see? What was your first feature?
The House on Haunted Hill.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Vincent Price.
Yeah.
1959.
That's right.
And the cool thing about that movie was, I think I was 6 years old or something. I was tiny. And that movie scared the bejesus out of me.
Was that a William Castle movie? Did he do that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And what they did was, the Fox has a balcony. Mm-hmm. And if you've seen the movie, the skeletons are on these like fishing poles.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When they go into the acid bath and they pull it out at the end, and
exactly.
Yeah.
And what they did was they had skeletons, life-size skeletons, on these fishing rods, and they paraded them down the aisle, and it was really frightening to watch those skeletons go up and down the aisle. I mean, I was scared, so it's bad.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, for people who don't know, William Castle, that was one of his things. He'd always have a gimmick, whether it was like the chairs that would shock people in the audience, or like, the smell of vision and all these things, having the skeletons. He always had that extra thing to he was doing 4DX back in the 50s and 60s, well before anybody else was. But it's funny that you bring up that movie. I just showed that to my 10-year-old son less than 2 weeks ago. He'd never seen it before. And so the ending where you can tell that it's on the fishing line or whatever, and he's in the back reeling it, he was under the impression that this was just old bad special effects. And he's like, oh, look at this. This is so silly and goofy. And his mind was blown when he saw that it was really Vincent Price the whole time doing this, and it wasn't a bad special effect, that it was intentional. He just adored the movie.
That's cool. That's very cool.
So small kind of full circle world that some things still work. So if you show it to a 10-year-old at the right time, that's kind of the gateway into classic film, possibly. So, But Dennis, thank you so much for taking the time to do this today, man. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll get to shake your hand, say hello, and say thank you on Sunday.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. And I enjoy every moment of everything, interviews, everything.
Well, thank you very much, man. And again, you got something special here. So congratulations.
Okay. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Take care. Thank you, Dennis.
Bye-bye.